Hello everyone. Today I'm here to share with you all of the books I am very excited about that are coming out in the spring season. So I do a video at the very beginning of the year talking about all of the books I'm anticipating for the entire year, and then I break it down seasonally because, believe it or not, I forget some, and believe it or not, there are new ones that pop up that I did not see before, that I just, or maybe have just been announced, because not every book's going to be very, announced right at the beginning of the year like I would like it to be, but either way, I break it down seasonally. So I do a spring one, I do a summer one, and I do a fall one. So here we are at the spring one. So spring begins here in March, at least in the US. So the books I'll be talking about today are either coming out in March, April, or May, aka the spring season here. So yeah, let's talk about all the books. There will be repeats. Some of the books I mentioned today I have already talked about in my video at the beginning of the year, but there's also some new ones. So let's dive in. The first one is The Night Shift, which I actually probably have already read by the time this goes up. I'm not sure. As of filming right now, I just started it. So this book takes place in two timelines, one in 1999 and a Blockbuster, which is just a great sentence. Like, take me back to Blockbuster in 1999 and I'll be a happy camper. So basically we have a group of I think 5 teenagers working this Blockbuster on the eve of New Year's Eve in 1999. Y2K is about to happen, big things, because Y2K was a big scary, if you don't know about that, look it up. And somebody comes in and attacks and kills 4 of the people, and only 1 girl survives. Fast forward to 20 years later, we have another group of kids, teenagers, working at an ice cream shop. Again, the place gets attacked, and again, only 1 girl survives. In both instances, the attacker says, I think he says, "Good night, pretty girl," or something like that, and the guy's never been caught, or girl, we never know. And basically the whole book is about trying to figure out if these 2 cases are connected. So we have 2 timelines. I'm very excited about it because anything that's set in 90s, especially in a Blockbuster, yeah. Then we have a YA book. We have All My Rage by Sabaa Tahir. If you guys don't know, I love Sabaa Tahir. She wrote the Ember and the Ashes series, which is one of my favorite series of all time. This one, I believe, is a standalone book, and it says heart-wrenching contemporary young adult novel about family and forgiveness, love and loss, and a sweeping story that crosses generations and continents. So I trust this author. I'm very excited for this one. Then on March 29th, we have Always Jane by Jen Bennett. Again, another YA contemporary. I've noticed as the time goes on, I'm reading less and less of YA contemporary. I feel like I'm kind of growing out of it, which is okay, but I still love Jen Bennett's books. So this one's about a chauffeur's daughter who finds herself in the middle of a love triangle with sons of her boss's wealthy next door neighbors. So we got a love triangle going on. And the last book I have in March is actually a sequel to a book I literally just finished last month, and that is 4 Aunties and a Wedding. It is the sequel to, I have right here, Dial A for Aunties, which I read this month and really enjoyed. It's like a cozy mystery, very, very funny series. I can't wait for this. I can't wait for the sequel. Moving into April, on April 5th, we have The Wedding Crasher by Mia Soso. This is a sequel / companion novel to the, I forget what the first book's called, The Wedding, here it is. I forget what it is, but it's you don't have to read the first book. If you want to, great. If you don't want to, great. So this one's all about Solange, who is roped into helping her sister. This is about Solange, who's always roped into helping her cousin that's a wedding planner plan weddings. The wedding planner cousin was what the first book was about. So there you go. And then basically she stumbles on a situation that she convinces that the groom is not meant to marry the bride. And so she kind of convinces him, you should not go through this wedding. It is not a good idea. And he actually listens, and it creates a lot of mess, as you can believe. You have Dean, who is the groom, and he learns of an assignment. Sorry, I'm reading from my phone here because I wrote all this down. That he could have an assignment to promotion unless he has a significant other. So basically, he has to get this promotion, but if he doesn't have a significant other, he won't get the promotion. There's been so many books like that, and I'm like, is this really a thing? Does this happen? I mean, I get why it's written because it makes for a good story, but does this really happen? But either way, so Solange is like, crap, I talked you out of getting married, so let me help you out by pretending to be your fake fiance. So we got a whole fake dating book, and I love a good fake dating book any day of the week that ends in Y. And then we have Fool Me Once by Ashley Winstead coming out on April 5th. I actually read a book by Ashley Winstead earlier this year. It was called In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. It was so good. So this is the complete opposite of the spectrum for her. So that was a very dark mystery thriller, very academia setting. This one's like a romance book. So I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. So all about this one, I know it's about a girl named Lee Stone who kicks butt at her job as a communications director. And after work, she is drinking guys under the table and never letting any of them get too comfortable in her bed because she never trusts love. She doesn't trust love because she fell in love with this guy named Ben in grad school who she thought was cheating on him, but maybe he wasn't. And then Ben shows up 5 years later, and I think things happen from there. So it's a second chance romance. Like I said, I'm really wanting to read this because of the author, because I loved In My Dreams I Hold a Knife so much. Like, that's going to be my top 5 for the entire year. So I have really high expectations for that. Then on April 19th, we have With or Without You by Emily Wibberley and Oxman C. Mabroka, another YA contemporary. I feel like I read mostly YA contemporaries in the spring because a lot of my favorite authors, they're a great author duo. This one, I don't even need to know what they're about. It is basically a novel based on their own romantic history because they're engaged. So that's what it's about. And I'm very excited to read it because I think it's just going to be a fun time. Then again, on April 19th, we have Party World by Abby Hemesen, an author that I really love. Adult romance books for sure. Adult romance books that I just can't get enough of. They always have a great element of romance, but also has a really big kind of realness to them, like a really big kind of intenseness to them, if you will. One is about Alexis, who has had her world turned upside down. Her cause is Daniel Grant, the ridiculously hot carpenter who's 10 years younger than her, and as casual as they come, the complete opposite of her sophisticated city girl, and yet their chemistry is undeniable. So we kind of have a hate to love, but also an age gap romance. So I will always say repeatedly, I am here for it. The book we have in April is The No-Show by Beth O'Leary, coming out April 26th. I have read all of Beth O'Leary's books before, and I've only really loved one of them, so we'll see. This is basically about all of these women dating this guy, and he doesn't show up to their date, and all these women kind of band together to try to find him and like take him down. So it sounds like it's going to be a fun book, but we'll have to see. Like I said, the only real book I've loved for her is her first one, The Flat Share. The other ones I just kind of haven't really loved. And then moving into our last month, we have May, and we have a Casey West book, one of my favorite YA contemporary authors, and that is Places We've Never Been. This one comes out May 1st, and it's a cross-country road trip that puts one girl and her childhood best friend on an unexpected road to romance. Then we have another YA contemporary by one of my other favorite authors. It just must be spring season, just maybe the season for all of YA contemporaries. This one is See You Yesterday by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This will be my second Rachel Lynn Solomon book of the year. She's already written an adult romance that came out this year, so she's going to do a YA contemporary one. So this one is about a teen girl forced to relive her disastrous first day of college, only to discover that her arch nemesis is stuck in the time loop with her. So we kind of have a time loop going on where you have to repeat over and over again. And I've seen that done a lot. I've seen it done on movies. I've seen it done on Buffy had a whole episode about this, which was hilarious. And also it got to be so annoying because you're just like, this is just insane. Like, how could somebody live like this? You know, there's been so many movies and shows done this, so I'm excited to check it out. Then we have Book of Night by Holly Black coming out on May 3rd. I think this is her first book of like an adult fantasy book, and I don't know much about it. It says it's a modern dark fantasy of shadowy thieves and secret societies in the vein of Ninth House and the Night Circus. I'm just going to say this, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for it. I wasn't a big fan of Ninth House. I started reading the Night Circus, never got into it, so that's just me. I know a lot of people love those books, and I'm so happy for them. I just couldn't get into them. So we'll see. I've read Holly Black's, I tried reading her Tie series, couldn't get into it, and then she wrote the Cool Friends series, which I did really enjoy. So I have, you know, I wouldn't say I have high expectations. I have medium level expectations. And we have Book Lovers by Emily Henry, which is an adult romance. This is about a character named Nora who her life is in books. She's read them all, and she is not that type of heroine, it says. Basically she's a cutthroat literary agent. and she loves her little sister. And so she agrees to go to Sunshine Falls, North Carolina for the month of August when Libby begs her for her sister's trip away. And she keeps bumping into Charlie, a bookish, brooding editor back in the city. It would be a meet cute if not for the fact they've met many times and it's never been cute. So I hate to love romance with bookish people. Like, I really love her books. Like, her adult romance books are just amazing. I have By the Book by Jasmine Gilroy coming out on May 3rd. This is kind of a series that's going around. The first book last year was If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy, which was kind of a reimagining of Cinderella. This one's a kind of reimagining of Beauty and the Beast, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess each book in the series is going to be written by a different author, which is great. So this one is a romantic triumph of love and acceptance, and learning that sometimes to truly know a person, you have to read between the lines. So yeah, I don't know. I've read a lot of Jasmine Gilroy books, and they're okay. I don't ever love them, so I don't know what else to say. I have another mystery thriller that I am very, very excited for, and that is The Woman in the Library by Solara Gentile, coming out on May 10th. So basically, this book is set in the Boston Public Library, and it's this ornate reading room. And there's a group of, I want to say, just a group of people that basically they hear a woman scream, and police come and they make everybody stay where they're located because they're trying to figure out what happened, because there was a murder basically that happened. And it says that while they wait for the all clear, 4 strangers, so it's 4 people who happen to sit at the same table, pastime and conversation and friendships are struck. Each has his or her own reasons for being in the reading room that morning. It just so happens that one of them is the murderer. So it sounds just so interesting. A murder set in a library. One of the murders kind of Agatha Christie-esque, and the cover's amazing. And I have such high hopes for this. I really hope it doesn't let me down. Then we have Something Wilder by Christina Lauren coming out on May 15th. This is a adult romance book. I've read all of their books before. I love them. This one, I don't know anything about. Oh, it's grown up as the daughter of a notorious treasure hunter and absentee father. Duke Wilder left her without much patience. Okay, so she now uses his hand maps to guide tourists on fake treasure hunts through the red rock canyons of Utah. And then basically, it's about like a hidden treasure. It's kind of like a national treasure thing. I did not know what this book was about, but I mean, like, I'm interested. Maybe her father's like Nicolas Cage in this book. Like, that would be so intriguing. So we have a treasure hunt, maybe learning that it's not a fake treasure hunt, but it's a real treasure hunt set in Utah. I'm here for it. Like, I'm very excited for it. I did not know what it's about. You know, there's some authors I'm just like, I'll just read it. This one sounds really fun. We have my last book, Hide by Kirsten White, coming out on May 25th. This is a horror book, and I think I didn't know anything about this book until I heard my friend Katie talk about it on her channel, Chapter Stacks, which she talks a lot about horror and kind of mystery thrillers. I get a lot of recommendations for her. She reads a lot more scary things than I can handle, but when she talks about some books, I'm like, oh, I gotta read it. So this is one when she talked about it, I was like, oh, I have to check this one out. So this one is about this challenge. It says, spend a week hiding in an abandoned amusement park and don't get caught. The prize, enough money to change everything. Even though everyone is desperate to win, to seize a dream future, even though everyone is desperate to win, Mac is sure she can beat the competitors. All she has to do is hide, and she's an expert at that. It's the reason she's alive and her family isn't. But as people around her begin disappearing one by one, probably like dying, Mac realizes that this competition is even more sinister than she imagined, and that together might be the only way to survive. 14 competitors, 7 days, everywhere to hide, but nowhere to run. Like, it sounds like one of my worst nightmares. Like, I don't like scary things. We all know this. I'm a scaredy cat. Like, I have really like expanded my box a lot when it comes to mystery thrillers. Never thought I would read them, and then I was like, I'm never gonna read horror. I've been reading a little bit of horror where I can handle it, so I'm expanding a little bit. But this sounds like literally one of my worst nightmares. Like, I have thought repeatedly about going to an amusement park when they have, especially their Halloween haunted house and things like that, and like somebody getting caught and an actual murder be happening, but nobody takes it seriously because it's like in a haunted house, so you're like, it's part of the eye, but you're like, it's not. Like, I've thought about this, okay? It does not sound fun at all. And this is what this book sounds like it's about. Only it's really about a competition, but it might sound like people disappear, they get eliminated, and like are just getting out, but they're probably getting eliminated by being killed. So it's gonna be an intense book, a scary book, but like it just sounds so interesting that I cannot wait to read it. And it's probably gonna scare the crap out of me, but we'll just see. We'll see. So there you have it. Those are all the books that I'm really anticipating coming out in the spring. I would love to know if you've heard of any of these, if you're going to check them out. If you've already checked them out, I'd love to know your thoughts on them. And yeah, as always, I'm sure I've missed some because I miss things. It happens. But I would love to know if you're checking them out as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.